Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to this video. It is 11:21 p.m. Saturday the 15th of February. So just a very quick update that I wanted to give you guys, hot off the press. This is the latest news regarding the progress of the peace deal of the century. They have now formed the committee, which is going to be responsible for dividing up the land of Israel. So you'll recall that there is going to be a 6-member committee, 3 from the US and 3 from Israel. That committee has been decided and confirmed, and they have announced that they are now ready to commence their responsibilities of mapping out the annexation and the what will be the future Palestinian state. So here you can see U.S.-Israel Sovereignty Committee ready to work as Trump appoints members. U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman Senior Advisor Ariel Lightstone, and Scott Leith, who is the Director of Israeli and Palestinian Affairs, the National Security Council, to sit on the committee. Israel announced its members on Friday. So Israel has announced its members and the United States have announced its members. The joint US-Israeli committee tasked with mapping the areas in which Israel would apply sovereignty is ready to start working. A senior official in Trump administration confirmed to Israel Hayom that President Donald Trump appointed the US members of the committee. They are US Ambassador David Friedman Senior Advisor Ariel Lightstone, and Scott Leith, who is the Director of the Israeli and Palestinian Affairs, the National Security Council. Trump's appointments were announced a day after Israel announced who would represent it on the committee. So that's from Israel's perspective. That is Tourism Minister Yariv Levin, Israeli Ambassador to US Ron Dermer, and Prime Minister Office Acting Director General Ronen Peretz. Now I find that surname very interesting, Peretz. That means to breach or to break forth. And that is what David called the field when God assisted him in the battle against the Canaanites, where he said that God breached forth. So it was actually God himself that defeated the enemies of David in that battle, and he called it the field of Peretz, because God breached or broke forth. He broke through. So I thought that was an interesting surname. It then says the Joint Committee, which was announced by Trump during the rollout of the administration peace plan at the White House several weeks ago, was tasked with drawing a map of the specific areas that would come under Israeli sovereignty in the Jordan Valley. So, of course, when they do that, they're going to be mapping out the Palestinian state as well. You see, they don't tell you what it infers. They only tell you what they're doing. And then it says US and Israeli sources immediately after the release of the details of the vision for peace that the map it included was only a conceptual map and did not reflect the exact future borders. The map is also called a conceptual map in the plan, and this is also confirmed on the Times of Israel. US-Israeli Mapping Committee for Trump Peace Plan said finalized. So now they have the committee. The committee is going to go ahead and it is going to divide the land of Israel, and we are going to get a map of a future state of Palestine. And I suspect that once they've done this, after the elections, at some stage, they will, depending on the result of the elections, according to the Kaduri prophecy, the elections will remain a stalemate, so they won't be able to form a government again. And of course, we will wait to see that. That's going to happen in 2 weeks, if that's the case. And if that is the case, then they're going to have major problems, because there's no government in Israel, and it remains in stalemate. But what I suspect would happen in that case, and of course this is speculation, is that they would take this plan with the finalized map that they are going to map out, and they would give it for a vote in the Knesset, and the Knesset would vote on it, and I suspect that it would pass, because Likud and Blue and White, Benny Gantz's party, have agreed that they would implement this deal. So regardless of whether there's no government or not, I suspect that it would pass in the Knesset, and then we'll see what happens. So guys, the dividing of the land of Israel is continuing. We're going to keep our eye on the ball, whereas other people have now forgotten this. They've said that this is not the dividing of the land of Israel, and they have dropped the key as such, and they haven't opened the door with the key to continue on and continue watching what is going to happen. So that's what happens if you disregard the signs of God. Then you are not going to know what the time is, and if you disregard the fact that this is the Daniel 9:27 covenant and the dividing of the land of Israel, if you disregard that and you don't think that this is going to divide God's land, and you don't think that this is the Daniel 9:27 covenant, then you're not going to watch it anymore, and you're not going to keep your eye on the ball. You're just going to ignore it because you don't think that this is it. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on as far as I see this going, and we shall see. We've got Venus working its way up towards the Pleiades now. It started yesterday, heading up towards there, and I'm busy doing a video with a whole bunch of information with regards to Nisan the 10th, which is the 4th of April, which will be the date of the triumphal entry, and I'll put that together and release that closer to the day where we will watch when Venus is at the Pleiades. So keep your eye on the ball, and we will continue to do so. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the sky.